Hey, what's up, friends? Coach Kyle and Banjo here, and I'm working with Teresa on the Frozen Challenge to both remind you to update your team captain by Saturday night or Sunday morning, and I'm helping to keep you in the Frozen Challenge by offering some tips and thoughts on reducing your injury risk as you train for upcoming events this spring or summer. Here, you have that. To start the week off, I want to talk about what runners think actually cause running related injuries. Actually, I'm going to take that because you're going to squeak it. So there are two studies I want to talk about. The first one is from the Journal of Orthopedic and Sport Physical Therapy, published last year, titled, "What Do Recreational Runners Think About Risk Factors on Running Injuries?" And it was a descriptive study with, talking about their beliefs and opinions. This was done through semi-structured interviews with 94 recreational runners, and they were simply asked what they believed caused running-related injuries. The average running experience for these participants was, I think, 5.5 years, and about half of them had experienced a running-related injury during that time. The authors broke down the study answers first into intrinsic and extrinsic ones. So of course the extrinsic ones were blaming things not related to them. Stretching, outside factors from their body. Stretching, excessive training, not warming up, muscle weakness or imbalance, the wrong shoes. So now intrinsic factors were typically cited as not being mindful of their own physical limits and foot type changes. So what was primarily found was that these runners most often attributed injuries to factors related to training, shoes, and exceeding their own body's abilities. Now, another study was titled "Opinions, Barriers, and Facilitators of Injury Prevention in Recreational Runners." And this one was also published in the Journal of Orthopedic and Sport Physical Therapy last year. But this one had, I think, 1,040 participants. Average age was 44.1 years. Most of them were men, and I think it was 65% men in the study. And the average running experience was 7 years. The average run frequency per week was 2.4, I believe. And interestingly enough, they had about 2.5 times. They had about an 80% experience rate of injuries, and this kind of makes sense because there were more runners, and the average running experience was seven years. And this study found that 94% of the runners felt that training progression was important for injury prevention. So smart training habits, not jumping into doing too much volume or frequency or consistency too soon. Healthy lifestyle was mentioned by 45% of the runners. Running technique was brought up by about half of them. Running surface was mentioned by 37% of the participants. And of course, 76% of the participants felt that running shoes were important for injury prevention, which it's a high amount, and I'm not surprised that many people believe that that's a cause of running related injuries. 68% of the runners said they do search for injury prevention measures, which is great. It's something good to be mindful of. But when asked what injury prevention measures these participants actually put into practice, between 21 and 26% of them said compression socks, changes in running technique, and insoles or orthotics. And going up a notch, 37 to 50% of the runners said they practice healthy lifestyle, which is great, changes to their running shoes, and stretching. And the two most prevalent injury prevention methods mentioned were, these are good, warming up and cooling down before running, and changes to their training schedule. So they're modifying their training schedule in a hopefully smarter way, and they're warming up and cooling down. Now, this next one is really interesting. The next question was about how they preferred to receive information on injury prevention. The most prevalent answer was a mobile app or a website. Both of those answers were about were answered by about half of the participants. Email was 33%. Now, I'm not sure who they were emailing. I don't know, another runner friend, maybe. So 37% said a trainer. Running store and a running magazine were 15 and 14%. But worst of all, only 13% said a healthcare professional. So I'm assuming when half of the participants mentioned a mobile app or website, they're talking about Facebook groups like this one, or Reddit, or Twitter, Facebook in general, other forums. The trouble with this is that asking random strangers on the internet was more prevalent than asking an actual personal trainer, coach, or healthcare professional. And I can't stress enough that if you do feel like you have an injury, maybe, or you definitely have an injury, the absolute best thing you can do is talk to a healthcare professional. Even a single visit to a physical therapist who can look at you in person, take a look at how you move, what actually hurts. They can offer you some personalized rehab instructions, some physical therapy exercise routines, so you can actually fix the specific problem you have. Talking to a running coach or a personal trainer, we can chat about proper training methods, running technique, nutritional considerations. I would ask about your sleep, your easy runs, your training volume, etc. I answer a lot of these types of questions online through mobile apps, Twitter, website, Reddit. But unless you're talking with somebody like me or a physical therapist one-on-one, you're just going to be getting probably good, but guesses. So that's all I got for now. For the first video here, I just wanted to outline a bit about what people generally think cause running related injuries. Going forward, we'll talk about some of these, if they work or not, and more best practices on reducing your risk of injury so you can continue to run healthily and sustainably for years to come. Thanks, and don't forget to update your team captains.